Hello and welcome. If this is your first time here, I'm Garth Allen. This is Racing News Now, and we're joined today by the man of the hour, the ARCA PR director, Mr. Charlie Krall. Charlie, how are you doing today?
I am doing great, Garth. Great to be here with you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, definitely. So, let's talk about Kansas. That's first and foremost on top of everybody's head right now. We'll start off with the big picture from Kansas. How do you feel that race went from an ARCA perspective?
Oh, from our perspective, it was just fine. It was a quick race, which is always good. Of course, we had the incident there right at the start with Brett Holmes and Scott Melton, which you hate to see. You hate to see a couple of really good cars getting taken out on lap one, anyhow. But that driver's side impact always kind of gives you an extra little shudder. But both drivers checked and released, and everybody was doing fine after that. But you know what? Once that happened, the race just kind of settled into kind of what we expected. Of course, Ty Gibbs really a dominant force in that race, led all 100 laps, and was kind of the Ty Gibbs benefit hour. But from our perspective, it was, once we got past that first lap, it was a good, clean, safe race, and that's at this point really all we're looking for.
Definitely. So, now let's talk about the little bit of controversy in the race. Seems like we got some controversy in every ARCA race this year.
Yeah.
The competition caution, the Corey Heim penalty. Explain to us what happened there. As far as I could tell, I don't think TV ever showed what happened on the pit stop, so it may just be a case of you can't see it, so you don't fully understand it. So,
Yeah.
Explain to us what exactly happened there.
So the rule is, under the modified live pit stop procedure that we're using, you get your spot back, you restart in the same order you came down pit road, unless you don't beat the pace car back around. And unfortunately, Corey it was determined by video, and I don't know if that video was used on the broadcast or not, but it was determined by video by our scoring folks that the pace car beat him out, and it was fairly plainly obvious on that video replay. As far as whatever happened on the pit stop, I didn't see the pit stop, so hard for me to discern what the situation was. But the teams are allowed to change tires, they're allowed to add fuel. Can't do them at the same time, but you change tires, add fuel, make adjustments, and you should have, based on pace car speed at Kansas, you should have about a minute and a half to get that done. Apparently, they just needed to make some sort of extra adjustment. I mean, Venturini's, those guys, they're not going to be dilly-dallying on pit stops, even if you have a little extra time. So they must have just had to make a little extra adjustment on that race car and got caught. Thankfully, we had a quick caution right after that. Corey got the free pass, rejoined the tail end of the lead lap, and raced his way back up to third, which, according to him, post-race is right where he was going to finish regardless, so yeah. It all worked out.
Okay, so this was a case where the pace car kept moving. The pace car didn't stop on the backstretch and let everybody queue back up
Correct.
Behind it. Okay.
Correct. So under that situation, it's a competition caution, not a break.
Yeah.
So there are races where we have gone in the past, Garth, where we have given the teams a 5-minute break.
Right.
That was not the case here. This is a competition caution. Pace car keeps circulating, and if you don't beat the pace car to the specified line, I'm assuming it's a line, you don't beat them to the line, you lose your lap and you lose your position on the racetrack. So, and that's what happened.
So what do you know what kind of penalty or what kind of adjustment they were doing? Because it just seems weird to me that it took that long for the pace car to come all the way back around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't see the pit stop, so it's hard for me to make a solid call, and I haven't talked to those guys since then, unfortunately. But I'm assuming it was some sort of chassis adjustment where they may have had to climb under the car or something and pull a spring rubber out or put a spring rubber in or something like that. And I don't want to speak for the Venturini team, but in my experience, those are adjustments that might take a little extra time after you have completed your work. So, yeah, just a tough break for them. But, like Corey said post-race, it was a little frustrating at the time. You hate to lose a lap, but he picked it right back up on the next caution, which came out just a handful of laps later. And, he did have to work his way past a few cars on that last restart. But, he said, once I settled into third position, that's really where we were going to be the rest of the race anyhow. We didn't really have anything for Ty. We didn't have anything for Drew. So we were the third best car, and we finished third. Life goes on. We're going to move on to the next one.
Right. All right, so let's look back now at Talladega. We didn't have you on after Talladega, so let's get your thoughts on how that race went. We talked after Phoenix about how the viewer experience for the ARCA Talladega race the past couple of years hasn't been the greatest, but I think that turned around really in a big way this year. So talk to us about how, from an ARCA perspective, how Talladega went.
Oh, we were thrilled with the race. The amount of lead changes, the amount of side-by-side racing that we had, the fact that there were so many good quality competitive cars up there fighting for the win. From that standpoint, we were thrilled. I mean, obviously there was the incident there with Derrik, Lancaster, and regardless of what the circumstances are, you never want to have a competitor in that situation.
Right.
So, we've been very concerned with Derrik's condition, obviously, and his recovery. But as far as the actual racing on the racetrack goes, we're just like we were after Daytona and Phoenix. We were very, very happy with the outcome of that Talladega race visually for the race fan.
So, speaking on the Derrik Lancaster crash, there were some questions about that. I guess the Cup cars, I know specifically, have that more fire suppression system. I'm assuming the ARCA cars don't have that, and that's why
we
that
have
happened.
a fire suppression system inside. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
So I guess then the question is, how did that happen?
I will tell you this, and I just spent some time with a couple of our guys this morning. That crash and the resulting, the fire is still under investigation. I don't have anything to share with you on that. I can't tell you, what the cause was. I can't tell you what was going on inside the cockpit. I have zero information. What I can tell you is, anytime you see something like that, it's a concern. Not only are we concerned for the driver that was involved, we're concerned about preventing that for drivers in the future. So we will take a very close look at that, and we will get down to what caused it. What was the actual cause, and we will figure out if there's something we can do to help our teams to prevent that in the future. As far as a sanctioning body is concerned, that's really what we're here to do is help make sure that the teams have access to that information, and what they do with it is up to them. But we certainly, we don't want anybody to, we're here to put on a race, and it's supposed to be fun, and anytime we have a situation like this, we want to protect our participants. They're people that matter to us. You don't
Right.
want to see them in a negative situation like that. So I wish I had some actual tangible information for you and for your listeners on this one, Garth. I know a lot of people are asking about it, and they want to know, well, hey, what happened, and how's he doing? I just don't have any information to share.
Okay. So let's move on to the other big topic from Talladega. I'm sure you knew this question was coming as soon as we brought up Talladega. The one-lap shootout.
Yeah.
I know I've seen elsewhere where you've answered this question, and the reasoning behind the one-lap shootout, I understand, is because we don't want another situation like 2018 Daytona where we had all those attempts at green-white checkers and tore up a bunch of cars and all that. I guess my biggest question with that is, why can't we do a two-lap shootout and limit that to one attempt? Wouldn't that have the same effect as a one-lap shootout in terms of not tearing up as many cars?
Well, that's a good question, Garth. And so I will tell you, I remember the 2018 race at Daytona very well. At that point, I was just a spectator watching from the couch. and I loved it. It was exciting. It was thrilling. It was, you know, but I don't work on them. I don't work on the race cars. I don't have to pay for the race cars, you know. So that's where this comes in. You know, there were how many attempts at that one? I'm just looking at you know, there were 2 huge multi-car crashes.
Yeah.
In overtime.
Yeah, I remember that one well. Also, that was the first ARCA race I covered for RNN.
And I'm just counting the cars: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 cars involved in a crash after the scheduled end of the race.
That's a lot.
So that's why you're seeing a 1-lap shootout, because you know the cars aren't quite up to full speed yet. So the air isn't quite moving around like it has been, or like it will be. And, you know, we put this, you know, we were going to make a change regardless after Daytona in 2018, just because, you know, our teams are not cup teams. We don't have an unlimited budget here. And trust me, no one takes more pride in ARCA's end of race green, white, checkered procedure than I do. I love the fact that we will do it until we get a finish. That's great. You give me 8 green, white checkers at Toledo and I'm going to be a happy camper.
Yeah.
I really will. This is great. We still finished a checkered flag finish. This is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But at Daytona and Talladega, I think it's a little bit different scenario. My opinion as a fan was, let's do it until we get a finish. But I think now that I'm a little closer to this and you understand the challenges that some of these teams have, if you can get out of there at a 1-lap shootout and you don't tear up 15 cars, that's phenomenal. And we did. We worked with our race teams on this. How do you want to fix this? And the consensus was 1-lap shootout, 1 attempt. Let's get it over and call it a day. You know, we still might tear up 15 cars on that last lap dash. I think they were trying. They were coming through the tri-oval. There were a couple of guys who were really working hard on keying off a crash there, but thankfully we didn't have that. And you know, I think it still preserves the integrity of an overtime attempt without putting a lot of equipment and people at risk.
Well, and you mentioned that there's still the opportunity to tear up 15 cars on the 1-lap shootout. So I guess if the opportunity's still there on a 1-lap shootout and the cars aren't up to full song yet, so it's really, most of the time you're not going to get a great visual finish from a fan's perspective. Wouldn't it be better to just give them that 1 extra lap and still keep it at 1 attempt to give the fans a little better product when you still have that chance for the big wreck anyway? You're not going to completely eliminate that either way.
Well, let's think about this. I want to think that we made that change to the rule. Well, I'm trying to figure out if we made that change to the rule in time for Talladega in 2018 or not. In any case, we had a 1-lap shootout at Talladega in 2018, and it ended in a statistical tie that was only broken, you know, by a photo finish camera that determined Zane Smith was ahead by an inch over Joe Graff at the finish. Right. You know, so you can still have a spectacular finish in 1 lap. It's just, you know, the cars may not be up to 185 miles an hour. They might only be going 170 miles an hour. So, yeah, I think it's, to me, it's just a matter of semantics in an extra lap. I get it. You know, as a race fan, as someone who enjoys racing, you're there to watch cars go fast. And the more laps you get seeing them go fast, the happier you're going to be. I just think for what we are doing at Daytona and Talladega, if we have an overtime situation, I think we as a sanctioning body and our teams are very happy with a 1-lap shootout. I think that second lap, Garth, the chance of having a multi-car crash exists for sure on a one-lap shootout, but I think it increases exponentially on that second lap of a green, white checkered shootout at a place like Daytona or Talladega. And I think that's why we have decided one and done.
Right.
You know, it's we understand there's still a chance. We're just trying to minimize what that chance is.
But with the one attempt, that means you only get one of those wrecks rather than the 7 or however many we had in 2018, you know?
Yeah. And hey, let me tell you, I mean, going back in the day, I was at Gateway back in 2004 for the Truck Series race that had 4 green, white checkered attempts. And there wasn't anybody in that racetrack who was thinking this was too many.
Yeah.
You know, the fans loved it.
Right.
They absolutely loved it. And I am one of those people. I really do think that, you know, if you are going to commit to an overtime situation, you know, I'm just a believer that, you know, the race should end under green flag, you know, and I love the fact that we have done that. As long as I can remember, as long as ARCA has had an overtime green, white checkered rule, they've finished the races under the green. I like that NASCAR has moved towards that. You know, they have, you know, again, once the white flag comes out in NASCAR, you know, the next flag you see ends the race. You know, but I like the fact that they've gone to an unlimited attempt at that. That just as a race fan, that gives me what I'm looking for. And I'm really happy that we're able to do that. But again, at Daytona and Talladega, it really makes it tough on those teams who have, you know, even our big teams, they really do have a pretty tight budget. And then for a team like Veneriti Motorsports, if you throw away 4 race cars at Talladega on the last lap, that's tough. You know, it's tough.
All right, so let's look forward to the future now. The main ARCA Menard series has a couple weeks off now till May 22nd at Toledo, but we've got 2 East races for the next couple weeks. Nashville coming up this weekend, and then Dover next weekend. Talk about what you're expecting from those races.
Well, I think Nashville's going to be a lot of fun because that's going to be a doubleheader with, actually, I think it's going to be a triple header. We've got a double dip late model event on their super late models and pro late models. I think are going to be part of that show as well. So that's going to be a phenomenal day of racing for the fans down there. I think we'll see more of the same. I think what we saw at Pensacola, I think will carry over to Nashville. It's going to be, you know, Sammy Smith. He's going to be tough to beat. You know, one of the teams that, you know, we saw give him a run for his money. Taylor Gray. Obviously, Taylor was injured in an automobile accident a couple of weeks back, so he's still going to be on the mend. So that's going to take away one of those, you know, main competitors there. But we've also seen some really strong runs by, you know, Parker Retzlaff's had a good couple of runs. I think Carson Kvapil is somebody that is ready to just pounce. Max Gutierrez, you know, with the surprise win down there at New Smyrna Speedway to start the season. You know, there's a pretty solid list of competitors up there that are going to give Sammy a run for his money. But, you know, just like we see in the ARCA Menard series, those 18 cars are really tough to beat.
Yeah. All right, well, I think that's all I got for you today, Charlie. So catch Charlie on the broadcast for those 2 East races on Track Pass next couple weeks. Always good to hear rock, roll, and rumble for those races. So,
yeah.
So, Charlie, thanks for joining me today. Thanks for clearing up all the stuff from the last couple weeks. Hopefully we don't have so many controversies for the rest of the season, but if we do, I know where to find you, and you always clear them up pretty well for us. So.
What are you talking about? I want controversy every week, man.
Oh,
I'm
yeah?
a podcaster, too. I want fun stuff to talk about.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't mind a little controversy. It gives me a reason to come and talk to you. Come on.
Hey, good point. Good point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thanks for joining me today, and hopefully we'll have some great races to talk about for the next couple weeks from the East Series.
I'll tell you what, man, I'm looking at my schedule right here in front of me, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 races in the next 6 weeks. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely. It's a good time to be an ARCA fan.
You got it, baby.